Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 2 of Worth, Boundaries, Standards, Communication, the masculine and the feminine. And I just want to invite you today. We co-create this space together. So be immersive. If you are catching on the replay, really close your eyes and allow these teachings to flow through you. Start to ask yourself these questions and understand whether you're coming to this call because you're in a relationship or you're single. If you're an entrepreneur and you struggle with boundaries with clients, I just invite you to really bring your personal experience today. I want to ask you if you've been showing up for your magnetic, high value woman morning routine. I've done it every single day. I show up for this work 365 days a year. So I want to be sure that you guys are holding yourselves accountable. I don't create these tools for shits and giggles. They do have a meaning and they do have a purpose behind them. So I really invite you, if you haven't been able to just get really clear on why you're not showing up for yourself. Is it a time thing? Do you need to schedule it in? Is it a boundary thing? If you have children, are you able to take that 10? It's a 10-minute video, guys. Are you able to schedule that 10-minute video in? Are you scheduling in? If you're catching on replay, are you scheduling it into your schedule and showing up for yourselves? Like I said in that voice note last week, we'll stay up. I used to stay up till 2 a.m. to go see one of my friends DJing. Like we'll stay up, or we'll wake up early, or we'll go out of our own time for other people. But when it comes to ourselves, we don't do it. So I just invite you to ask yourself, where can I show up more? Because yes, this was a 3-figure program, but I want you to show up like it's a 5-figure program. I want you to invest everything that you can, because I can't help you unless you're willing to help yourself. So the core themes today are setting the standard for your client, setting the standard, even if you're already in a relationship, setting the standard in dating. You know that I'm the queen of setting standards in dating, having healthy boundaries and being able to adhere to them, and authentic communication, communicating in a way, communicating like a graceful, high value woman, where you're able, even if you are in the wrong, you're able to get what you need out of every single aspect of life. So today I want to invite you into the possibility of communicating differently, getting your needs met, receiving feminine, whilst also making shit happen for yourself masculine. I'm going to start with a personal share, because as soon as I signify to the universe that I want to teach something, it comes up for me. And I had a boundary crossed with a friend 2 months ago. I took some distance from that relationship. I allowed her back into my space last week. And I said, hey, I've changed. I've transformed. Like, I transform in 2 months what some people do in 10 years. Here's who I am now. And here's my standard now. And are you able to meet me there? Within 1 week of being in my life, just caused so much chaos, so much anxiety. And as this new person that I am, I literally couldn't digest it in my body. And it just was a full body, no, I can't have this. Because when you up level your frequency, this old shit doesn't work on you anymore. What we used to settle for, what used to be okay for our nervous system, just doesn't even touch the sides anymore. And we're like, no. And I even said out loud, I don't need this anymore. I have such beautiful, authentic, feminine friendships now after a lot of a lot of shadow work around the feminine. Like, I don't need this in my life anymore. So I was able to really let that go, knowing that I tried and knowing that I used all of my tools and techniques, and that this is an alignment. Now, for you, it doesn't mean that the other person is bad. It just doesn't mean that they're not for you. They're not meant to be a part of your journey moving forward. I spent the weekend getting driven around Italy by one of my really good friends, and also my boyfriend is passenger princess receiving. I didn't have to use one single brain cell. Everything was organized for me. I got taken out to dinner. I had my mind activated by these beautiful men that I have in my space. And then I was able to come home and jump back into my masculine and create this masterclass for today and do back-to-back sessions yesterday, because I spent the weekend in my feminine. My problems with the feminine have always been jealousy. I'm a little bit of a triggering friend to have. I get up every day and I make shit happen for myself. I knock on doors that are closed. I just make things happen. I say that I want something and I go and I get it. And that can be really triggering. I've had lots of women project things onto me. I've projected things onto women, and I've just had these real nightmare horror story kind of relationships with women in the past that just made me just, want to be one of the guys for the rest of my life. But once I went inside and healed that, which I'll get into today, I'm now able to have these really beautiful, honest, fun, amazing friendships with women that I can count on one hand. My problems with the masculine, men used to promise me the world and then ghost me. They had this inability to meet me. I would get too in my masculine and I would emasculate them. And I had this deep codependency. I pushed them away. I had a very, very big anxious attachment. And I was almost kind of addicted to love. But then I up leveled and I really understood that I was the common denominator in all of my experiences. With all of these women and all of these men, I took responsibility. Even if I didn't do anything wrong, it was my responsibility that I allowed that into my space. So when I took responsibility, when I went in and I did all of this dark feminine work and the shadow work that I took you through last week, and as a reminder from last week, you can take any aspect through what I taught you last week and reprogram it into something new, whether it's an aspect of self or whether it's an aspect that keeps showing up in all of your relationships. And now, since I've done that, I'm in my dream relationship with my beautiful soulmate in non-monogamy, which I've always wanted, which taught me to be the amazing communicator that I am. I have lovers that fly me all around the world. I have clients who love to pay me, who stay within my boundaries. They feel like my best friends because they're just vibrating so on my level. I'm passenger princess in my whole life, even though I know how to drive. I don't really know how to drive, but as a metaphor, I allow people to show up for me whilst also staying in my masculine of setting the standards, setting the boundaries. Does that make sense? Because boundaries teach people how to love us and they teach people how to work with us. They teach people how to exist within us. I love my friends that have boundaries and honor them. My clients love me when I have my boundaries and I honor them. I had to set a boundary with a client 2 weeks ago, and it was really hard. I really care for this person. And she wrote back going, fuck yes, Katie. The fact that you stood in your boundary shows me how safe it is for me to stand in my boundaries, because we're so scared of not having boundaries because we think people will abandon us or won't want to work with us. But if we don't have boundaries, we become depleted. I'm the worst person. I'm the worst girlfriend, the worst friend, sister, daughter when I don't have boundaries, because I'm a generator in human design. I become so depleted and I get into my not self theme, which is frustration. And it's just hell. So I'm serving everyone in my life by being in my boundaries, and so are you. So boundaries are not about being demanding, but they're about valuing yourself. And you don't have to express them in this attacking kind of distorted feminine way. You get to, which we're going to get into today. We're going to teach you how to communicate your needs, your desires, your values, your boundaries, and your standards with love and respect for the person sitting in front of you. When we don't honor them, it causes inflammation in the body. It causes disarray in every other area of our lives. One of the women in the group chat wrote this morning, even when a client writes to me with something so small, her nervous system is so dysregulated that the smallest little thing is sending her over the edge, which means it's time to invite yourself to recollaborate your nervous system, to get really clear, which we're going to do today. Get clear on what are your boundaries and standards. Everyone is a mirror. when we can start to see this, when we can get out of our victim mindset and say, oh, I attracted that because this is what I need to learn. Everyone is a mirror and a lesson. So with my friend on the weekend that I had to let go of for a second time, what was the lesson? Oh, this is my work. This is what I stand in. This is what I teach. This is an opportunity for me to really walk my talk. And she also showed me, you know, going into a new friendship, which I probably won't do for a while, is what qualities about her did I love that I want to bring forward, but what about that was just not for me, that is now an even new standard that I didn't even have before, otherwise I wouldn't have attracted it in. So can you see how everyone is a mirror and a lesson, the clients, the men, the friends, the people, the experiences? So can we grab that lesson, take it through the shadow work from last week, and then move on and alchemize it into our superpower? Because there is an abundance. We forget so many times, you know, as women entrepreneurs, there is an abundance of clients in this world that are searching for you. There is an abundance of men who are looking for exactly the kind of woman that you are. There is an abundance of friends and an abundance of experiences. And when I say experiences, being able to communicate when you don't feel like something is for you, whether it's a social event, or whether it's catching up with a friend and, you know, you said yes when you were feeling really, really good, and now it's gotten to the day and you feel like shit. You're like, oh my God, I say yes. Being able to communicate and identify what is not for you and only operate, especially if you're a manifesting generator or a generator, only operating in what lights you up. Like I said before, communicating authentically is expressing our needs with love and respect for the other person. Standards is not being picky or demanding if you learn how to communicate it with love and respect. Standards and boundaries is all about valuing yourself, what this program is about, why you came into this program to become a high value woman. The high value woman values her standards. And people can't read your mind. Half this world doesn't have boundaries with themselves. How are they going to know what your boundaries are unless you're able to communicate them from the get-go? How are you teaching everyone around you how to operate within your standards and boundaries? The high value woman knows that her inner world reflects the outer. So when people are stepping over your boundaries or being stingy and don't want to invest in your program or your offerings or your work, whatever it is, or these flaky guys who don't commit, can you step back and ask yourself, well, where don't I have boundaries with myself? Well, I said I wasn't going to watch Netflix all weekend, and then I went on that binge, or I said I wasn't going to drink, and then I went and had fucking 20 cocktails with my girlfriends. And if the client doesn't want to invest in you, where am I being stingy with myself? Where am I not investing in myself? The flaky guys who aren't committing, where am I not committing to myself? I said I was going to do that high value woman morning routine every day for 1 week, and I did it once. So why I'm not committing to myself? Why would I expect anyone else to? If you're in a relationship and it's starting to, you know, get comfortable and feels like he doesn't have to seduce you anymore or take you out or spoil you, and you're getting in that kind of aggravated energy of like, you should be showing up for me. Where am I not spoiling and surprising myself? It's like the Netflix producer I met in January, and he was like, oh, I'd love to take you to Italy this summer. I was like, dude, I take myself to Italy 5 times a year. Like, what do you have to offer? Because I'm giving myself, I'm filling up my cup. So only people who come into my life are those who are aligned. So can you let go of what's not serving you to make space? Because nature loves space. You get rid of the client or the man or the friend that's not serving you, and you make space. But not only making space, you're communicating to the universe that this shit doesn't work with me anymore. I'm not settling. I no longer wish to settle. Because if you're saying yes to the client, if you're saying yes to the flaky men, whatever is showing up for you, the universe is like, okay, well, that's what she wants. That's her standard. Let me give her more of that. The universe is always going to respond to that. So one thing that is the main core of my teachings, and a lot of you said that you were coming into this program for, is grace. The graceful woman always wins. It is one of the fundamental attributes of the high value woman that I shared last week. I turned my passive aggressive shadow into grace. I am a feral alley cat. I missed a couple of days, but I love it. Amazing. Grace is staying controlled in situations that are triggering. Because there's a whole big bad world out there. You don't just suddenly wake up and you've got grace and everyone meets you with grace and da, da, da. People are stuck in their own shit. And like I said before, half the world doesn't have boundaries. Therefore, they're not going to have boundaries with you. I just had someone on WhatsApp. I shared my cleaner in a store, in a WhatsApp group, trying to get her more work, saying, you know, how incredible she is. And this girl just wrote me this long message. Are you sure she's good? I need her for this and this and this. And I just wrote back with grace, like, hey, I wouldn't post that in there if she wasn't good. And just like with love, with a love heart, with love and grace, a little bit of passive aggressiveness in there. But really, that person obviously has no boundaries with themselves. So how can you show up with these people who don't have boundaries with grace? Stay in control in situations that are triggering and not spiraling into the distorted feminine, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. It's seeing the inner child of the other person. There's a Burning Man art installation of two adults facing away from each other and the two inner children going in. So when someone's triggering you, I recently signed to my dream record label. It's full of Italian men. They don't know any better than the way that they were speaking to me. I was so triggered. I was shaking every time they were going to message me. And then I changed my energy. I didn't even have to put up a boundary with them, or did I just change the energy of the room? I saw the inner child in each of them that doesn't know how to communicate with a woman. I'm the first woman to ever sign to this record label. And then their communication started changing with me. I really showed what I wasn't available for. So how do we show grace? We pause. If we're in front of someone, we pause for 30 seconds. It makes us a little bit mysterious. They're like, oh God, what's she going to say? You know, and looking them in the eyes, eye contact. The graceful woman always looks into the eyes of people, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. Pausing for 30 seconds, gathering your thoughts. If it's a text message, wait 5 minutes, wait half a day. Otherwise, you're going to be in the shower later and going like, damn it, I could have said that. And you're having all of these fake fights with yourself in your brain, especially if you're an emotional authority in human design. Guys, you need to be waiting 24 to 48 hours until this becomes your second nature. If it's an email with a client, it can wait 24 hours or at least until you've slept on it. Because I promise you, you cut yourself off from so much clarity when you don't allow yourself to pause. Grace is having a regulated nervous system. Because when I didn't have a regulated nervous system, when I was first starting my business, not having boundaries put me in hospital. My WhatsApp, I woke up in the middle of the night so anxious. I wanted to be there for everyone. Strangers on the internet thought it was okay to send me long Instagram messages, emotionally dumping on me, telling me every single aspect of their life. And one day, one of my girlfriends said something that changed my life. And she said, my love, it's not normal. She's like, I feel like there's something in your energy field. She's like, she's a very big practitioner on Instagram. She's like, no one would even think of dumping on me like that, but you have this best friend energy and it's the core of my business. And I love it. I love to be there for people. But it wasn't, I didn't have any boundaries. So it didn't serve me. So I started to create contracts that protected me. And the people who were benefiting from me having no boundaries blocked me, unfollowed me, attacked me, friends, when you start to put up boundaries, anyone who is benefiting for you from not having boundaries is going to drop off like flies. And please, for the love of God, let them. I got out a piece of paper and I identified what people represent for me in my life. I drew some circles. And I've got this one friend who I absolutely love, but she hasn't done the vulnerable work inside of herself. And I can see her get a bit uncomfortable when I talk about university things or like transforming the shadow, So I kind of put her over into this circle. And now we go for walks together. We can party together. We can dance together. I can have her over for dinner and things like that. But since I moved her from up here and put these expectations on her and moved her to here, our relationship transformed. I started to identify who I can be, that vulnerable university, talk about the things that I love. And it may be only a couple of people, but that's all I need. And then I have down here my acquaintances who I see at my DJ gigs. I have no idea what they do during the week, but they serve such a beautiful purpose. Talking shit and having fun and dancing is such a big part of my release with all of the work that I'm doing. So identifying people, and you can do this with clients, you can do this in relationships. What purpose at don't let anyone tell you that every relationship is not a transaction. I know with that friend I put in that circle, I know that when I hang out with her, she's younger than me. She reminds me of youth. I get so in my masculine in my business and trying to make the series happen and this happen and so and she reminds me of youth and fun. And I walk away from that connection and dinner from her, like feeling light and fun. So what are the people in your life bringing you? And if they're not bringing you anything, like the girl I was speaking about last weekend, but drama and chaos and just doesn't feel good in your body, then it's time to reassess the relationship or the friendship or the client. I want to give some examples of setting standards and boundaries. In dating, I set the standard really early on. Once you get to the end of my dating profile, you know exactly the kind of woman I am and what I'm seeking. And if you don't message something from that in your first message, if you dare send me a, hey, how are you? I will not respond. That's me setting the standard energetically. Then if you've sent me a pretty cool first message and we want to move along, I like to assess the energy quite early. I speak about my needs and boundaries quite early. If they're not into that, they're not for me. Ciao. I set the standard by, talking about my relationship before. I was a French Riviera housewife. I was dating a really beautiful, high-value man. It ended because we weren't in alignment. I wanted something different. I had 9 out of 10 cups. I knew that I could have the 10 cups. I'm in a relationship that is the 10 cups, but I'm non-monogamous. So here's how you are going to operate in my standards and boundaries. Here's what I'm looking for. Can you provide that? Because it's pretty fucking fun. I'm just looking for a masculine energy to have really good lit up dominant experience with. If you can't show up for that, if you're not jumping out of your seat to provide that for me, ciao. I'm constantly identifying what is not working for me and making it a standard. What didn't work for me in that connection? New standard, like I said before with my friend who I let go of. I see dating as a playground for growth. I see everything being mirrored back to me. What was activated in me? Last year, when I got out of my relationship and I jumped back into dating, my codependency, when I've been in this safe relationship in the French Riviera for 2 years, and then I went back out into the cesspit of dating again. And my anxious attachment came up. And I had these men love bombing me and then pulling back. And it's like an addiction. It's been scientifically proven that when someone love bombs you and has an avoidant attachment and you're an anxious attachment, that it literally makes you feel sick. It's the same kind of feeling of when I just remember spending all of May and June just kind of bent over like this. And I was like, whoop, what's being shown to me? Took it to my hypnotherapist, took it through shadow work. reprogrammed it into a new aspect of myself. And now I have quite a secure attachment. I will pat myself on the back for that. Old clients, one of you mentioned in the group, a client that you've had for a really long time, but now you want to set new standards. Create a new contract. Hey, I've made some changes around here. I invite you to read over my terms and conditions and this new payment plan and let me know if that feels in alignment. I don't chase in my business. I don't convince. My clients hire me to call them to a higher timeline. So if they do have any objections, I will walk them through it. I will help them identify where they're playing small, but I will never beg. I will never chase, and I will never convince. I treat my business like I treat my dating. I only want people who are operating in my frequency on my level. And now you might say, easier said than done, Katie. Like, how am I meant to? I've never done that before. I've never had a boundary. Oh my God, what if I lose the clients? It's gaining enough subconscious evidence. Like I said before, nature loves space, that when I let go of this, something better will come. This or something better is what I live my life by. Something doesn't work out, ciao. This or something better, this or something better, this or something, please, this or something better. And every single time, 1,000 times now. I even had a client a few weeks ago come on a discovery call, was so into coming into my program. She manifested the $3,000 for it up, like straight after our call. Then 24 hours later, something was activated in her. She unfollowed me, unsubscribed from me, didn't tell me why. And I said this or something better. And then one of my dream Capricorn clients messaged me 1 hour later and said, I'm in, and I sold out my program. So can you see how I showed up with grace? I replied to her very graceful. I took 24 hours to reply to her. I kept the space open should she ever want to explain to me or come back in. And I said this or something better. And then my absolute home girl came into the program. When I met my soulmate, I made him wait a couple of weeks. I was sniffing him out. I only just met him. I didn't think I'd ever date a DJ again after all my stories with DJ artist partners. And when I wanted to be intimate with him, I sat him down and I said, hey, I just got out of a 2-year relationship because I am non-monogamous. I tried to be monogamous for 2 years. I now know that that is my standard. I will answer any question that you have. I will be monogamous until you feel safe and secure. But before we are intimate, I want you to know that I see you as more than a lover. I'm close with my ex. We hang out together. We still share an apartment together. Well, he doesn't live here, but we still have this tie together. Is this okay with you? I am open to giving you as much space and time as you need. And he just turned around and went, what the fuck? I've never met a girl who can communicate like you. Like, wow. So I set the standard. I explained who I am. And I'm going to get into authentic communication later, but I just want to really reiterate to you that you can have honest conversations like this without men running the other way, because that's the high value men. They love a girl who knows what she wants and needs. So now I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes, and I want you to take a moment to reflect on your current standards and boundaries in relationships and career, and even personal development. Health and well-being is my number one value. I have such a high standard with myself. And it's none of this biohacking. I need to go to the ice bath and I need to go to do this and da, 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 da. It's like I hold myself to a standard. I get facials. I do my morning routine 365 days a year. I eat well. I'm in alignment with my cycle, which I'm going to teach you next week. That is a standard that I set for myself. So when I have a partner that comes in, like my ex-partner, God bless him, who's French and eats cheese and baguettes all the time and doesn't go exercise and our values weren't aligning. And I had to call him to that higher timeline and say, if you want to be with me, I need you to exercise. and I will help you understand how to eat better and da, 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 da. It's communicating with love and respect. So where can you set higher standards for yourself? And I want you to think about a recent situation where you felt your boundaries were crossed, sorry. It can feel so violating when our boundaries are crossed, even if it's a small one. How does it make you feel when your boundaries are crossed? And taking that recent situation where your boundaries were crossed, identify one boundary that you can set or strengthen. You might already have this boundary, but it just got crossed because you didn't quite believe in it. How can you strengthen that area and protect your well-being? What's an action step that you can take to strengthen that boundary? And are you going to set it energetically, like I said, with the record label, without having to communicate it? Or are you going to give it a go? Are you going to try communicate it? This is your mini homework for the rest of this week. The universe loves it when we're in our worth. Because when we're in our worth, we're in our trusting, we're in our feminine. And that's something that my lovers love about me so much. The balance between waking up and getting shit done for myself, but also my ability to step back and allow. It can be as simple as stopping at the door and allowing them to open it for you. It can be as big as letting them plan a whole weekend. My lovers love that I have a dream. They love that I do the work on myself constantly, because when I'm triggered, I can have a conversation with them and we move through it. That I'm not afraid to stand up for it. They love that I don't need them, but I sure as fuck expect them to take care of me. The distorted, we all have a daddy in us. We all have a masculine daddy within us. And when it's distorted, the traits of a distorted masculine, and you can identify this in partners as well. The distorted masculine traits are dominant, but not in a healthy, fun 50 Shades of Grey kind of way. Emotional detachment, aggression, competitiveness. I see this so much in women. Competitiveness and workaholism is such a daddy masculine trait. Lack of accountability, being too transactional. And then we have the distorted feminine, which a few of my lovers have complimented me on, saying that I'm saving them from the distorted feminine. Passiveness, emotional manipulation, dependency, jealousy, oversensitivity, lack of boundaries, self-sacrifice, the people pleasing. Let me sacrifice my own sanity so I can show up for you. Martyrdom. I don't know if I'm saying that word right, but that victim mentality, seeking sympathy through suffering. My God, I have done that so many times. Avoiding personal accountability. So what is the healthy masculine? Well, who's the healthy daddy within us? The daddy within us sets the standard, makes the moves, takes the action steps, the creative activity. The feminine creates, the masculine gets it out there, makes things happen, takes action. The daddy within us propels the vision forward and the momentum. The daddy within me shows up for my morning routine 365 days a year, even if I've gotten home from a DJ gig at 7 a.m. The seductress within us, that magnetic feminine within us, she sinks back and she receives. She doesn't micromanage the universe. She trusts. She trusts in him. She trusts in Sky Daddy. She trusts the physical, taking time to catch up with the internal work that we do. She takes cues and she allows, conscious allowing. It's calculated receptivity and it's gracefully allowing what is already yours. I've been showing up for this novel that I'm writing for 5 years. I don't know if I'm going to get an agent or get it out there. But in my mind, I've already got it. I see myself every morning and I'll cry talking about it. That agent emailing me back saying we're signing it, we're putting Barcelona Diaries is going out there. That's me in my feminine trust, not micromanaging the universe, allowing it to already be mine. The feminine lets go of what does not align with her and she does not settle. So let's move on to authentic communication. I just invite you all to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And just ask yourself, what am I taking away from this so far? How can I implement these teachings into my life, not only for the rest of this course, but for the rest of my life? Authentic communication is expressing oneself honestly, openly, and as I said before, respectfully. Respect for yourself, respect for the other person, whilst being open to criticism, being open to their perspective. Men are wired differently to women. Men appreciate being appreciated. When my partner does something small, I let him know what it means to me, because in his brain, it's like, you know, Tarzan and Jane. Jane loves that. I do more of that for Jane. I make Jane feel safe. They just want, it's deeply ingrained in them. They just want us to feel safe. So talking about when you appreciate something, when I was with my beautiful friend in Italy on the weekend, he was like, Katie, you're just so appreciative. You just got so much gratitude and appreciation for everything all of the time. Understanding their perspective, asking for their perspective, and not demeaning it, not emasculating them. How many times have you been in a fight or a disagreement with a man, and you've just got it's like the anger takes over you, and it's like this big monster comes out, and you just rah, and then you come back into your phone and you're like, whoops, I shouldn't have said that, or whoops, I shouldn't have done that, and then they close off. Men close off because it registers in their brain, I did something wrong, I'm not a man, and they go into their hole, and it comes off as avoidant and cold. But really, when you look at that inner child inside of them, it's like, I didn't provide. Oopsie daisy. I'm not a man. Clarifying misunderstandings. Trying not to see, and this has been one of my biggest lessons in relationship, not allowing my past relationships to dub over this one, not assuming, clarifying misunderstanding. Did you mean this when you said that? This is how I'm interpreting it. Validating their experiences and their emotions and offering support without mothering. Jesus Christ, my ex-partner was almost 20 years older than me, and I was the mother because I was in my distorted feminine. And I just got so exhausted that I just kept emasculating him. So how can you offer support without mothering? Appreciation, understanding, respect, clear communication, empathy, boundaries, self-awareness. Reflect on your own needs and behavior and taking responsibility for your growth. Effective communication with women. This is why women, if you look in the group here, the women are sharing, I was in metamorphosis and I came to women mentorship. Now I'm in worth because this is how I communicate with the women in my spaces. We got best friend energy because I treat you all as I treat myself, and that's active listening, empathy and emotional support, open and honest communication. The feminine wants respect and she wants to be appreciated. I pick up on what you're not saying, and women don't do this intentionally, but we don't say really what we need. So my job is to listen to what you're not saying and bring it to the light so we can transform it together. I never assume. With my women friends and with my clients, I never assume. I communicate. I build trust and security. The feminine needs time to feel safe and secure in a connection. I got a lot of patience for the females in my life, a lot of patience, because women need patience and understanding. And this is how we communicate with the men in our lives and the women in our lives. Authentic communication is expressing our feelings. The person who wants to instigate the communication, let's just say I wanted to sit down with my partner and I say, you haven't taken me out for dinner. I feel like you haven't taken me out for dinner in a while. That was one of my standards. It's my number one love language. It's a really important need of mine. It provides me with a space when I'm making shit happen for myself all week. It provides me with a space to let go. Let them know what it provides you. Liv, I said this to you last week in our laser coaching around your client, showing them why you're setting the standard, showing them why you're setting the boundary and how it benefits them. I'm a way better girlfriend when you've allowed me a night of being in my feminine. I'm a way better space holder and daughter when my standards and boundaries are being met. Being honest, allowing the other person to acknowledge the feelings that you express and share their own desire. Yes, Katie, I want to take you out to dinner too, because I know how much it means to you, but I'm so busy with my work right now. I come back and say, well, I'd really appreciate it if you prioritize, and maybe how would it feel? Asking them, how would it feel if you scheduled it in every second Wednesday? They'd say, well, that sounds pretty easy. That sounds good. With the client, hey, you want me to do this with this? Unfortunately, I can't provide you with all of this for this price. How would it feel if for the price that you're offering, I provided you with this? How would it feel? Then you can collaborate to find a solution that works for both of you. The whole world is a mutual transaction, mutual benefits. So when you can show the client the benefit of your standard and your boundary, when you can show your partner, your husband, your boyfriend, the guy that you're dating, what it will provide for you, something clicks in their brain and they want to provide. Does that make sense, guys? Resonating? I'm going to open up space for questions at the end. So if you do have a question, pop it in the chat. We're going to move to EFT tapping. For those of you watching on replay and haven't done EFT tapping before, this is one of my go-tos. If you're one of my clients, you know we're doing personalized scripts all of the time. It is more beneficial when it's in your own words. It really resonates with your nervous system when it's in your own words. But today we're just going to do an empowerment EFT script. And what we're doing is we're releasing limiting beliefs and fears and emotional blocks and allowing us to step into our power and live authentically. We're tapping on different meridians of the body. You can say all the affirmations that you want in the mirror. I am healthy, and your subconscious will come up and be like, bitch, we ate a whole pizza last night. Like, I'm not healthy. Like, and the EFT helps your body get on board with the affirmations that you are saying. That's why we did your empowerment statement in third person last week, because that gets the subconscious mind on board to believe the aspects of self that you're calling in, or the aspects of your life. Make sense? We're going to start tapping on the karate chop. We've got the karate chop. We've got the top of the head. We've got the top of the eyebrows, the sides of the eyes, underneath the eyes, top of the lip, underneath the bottom lip, collarbones here. And I call this one the side boob. So we're going to tap here, repeating this statement after me. I invite you to look at yourself in your eyes. If you're on live, perhaps you can go stand in front of a mirror. If you're on replay, sorry. Even though I sometimes struggle to set standards and boundaries, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I feel overwhelmed and unsure about setting clear boundaries. I often lower my standards to please others and avoid conflict. And sometimes I feel disconnected from my feminine, feeling more in my masculine, because I feel guilty when I prioritize myself and my needs. I'm afraid that setting boundaries will push people away. Yet I crave balance and harmony in my relationships and within myself. I deeply desire to embrace my feminine energy and set healthy boundaries. I choose to release these fears and beliefs and step into my power. Setting boundaries honors myself and others. I'm worthy of setting high standards. I invested in this program, so there's a part of me that knows I'm worthy. So I embrace my feminine energy with grace and ease. I am empowered to communicate my needs and desires. I trust myself to make decisions that align with my values. I am deserving of love, respect, and meaningful connections. Setting standards empowers me because I value myself and I know what I deserve. So I set clear and healthy boundaries. I communicate with authenticity and confidence. I embrace my feminine and masculine energies. I attract positive and meaningful connections. I choose to release all fears and limiting beliefs. I step into my power. I want you to yell these ones. It is safe for me to take up space. It is safe for me to value myself. It is safe for me to love myself. I accept this now. I integrate this now. And so it is. Deep breath in. And out, flick those wrists as if you were flicking water off them. Get all of that out of the nervous system. Yes, you did so good. I saw some yawning there. We're really, really getting it out of the nervous system. How are we feeling? Yeah. The card that fell out of my deck, you can't make this shit up. Today was yin. Yin is the feminine principle of receptivity. And I just invite you to ask yourself, do I want to receive a relationship message today, or do I want to receive a prosperity message? The relationship message is let others take the lead right now. Your power lies in small gestures, soft awareness, and conscious surrender. By yielding the reins, you will find yourself effortlessly moving closer to what you truly desire. And permit others to tell you who they are and who they can be to you by allowing their actions to speak about them. You will be pleasantly surprised. For my prosperity ladies, this is a time when the most effective action is allow others to show you the way forward. Observe their behavior, follow their lead. Your desire to push through must take a back seat for now. Woo-hoo. Collaborate and offer your ideas. Rather than dictating what must happen, let others come to you. It's important that they feel they have the power now. Another meaning is about releasing your need to have things in the form you want. How do you want to feel? And we're going to get into this in week 4. How do you want to feel basking in your success? Allow the universe to show you the form. Yin is a sign of essence. Things will go more smoothly than you can expect. My loves, I'm going to sit down and record you, and I'm going to pop it in the Telegram group, a masculine feminine meditation, so you can really balance them on the inside. So just to clarify today, setting standards and boundaries and balancing the masculine and feminine energies within us. Teach people how to love us, teach people how to operate within us. So I invite you over the next week, where can I set a small boundary? Because when we set a boundary, the amount of times I've set a boundary with someone and then thrown my phone across the room because it just felt so unsafe in my nervous system. How can I slowly start to set a boundary? And I want you to ask a question. I put this in the Telegram group. Every single interaction that you have this week, am I contracting or am I expanding? Am I exhaling and releasing, or am I getting tensed up? And the people who, and the clients or the friends or whoever, the ones that tense you up, what is being mirrored back to me? Where can I set a standard? Where can I set a boundary? Where can I take this through the shadow work from week 1? Okay. Thank you so much for being here live. I appreciate it so much. You guys are my OGs. And I will see you next week. You've got me in the Telegram group. Ask any questions, share. We're all here for you. Bye.